Mr. Chairman, you are now live.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 11th, 2026 Commissioners meeting for Gig Harbor Fire and Medic 1. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayden,
Yes.
Chairman Ency.
Yes. Commissioner absence. Everybody's here. Communications. None communications. Approval for the minutes of the July 28th, 26th Commissioners meeting.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayden,
Yes.
Chairman Ency.
Yes. Accounts payable and payroll approvals.
I'll move that we approve accounts payable checks 4072 through 4104, 4117 through 4160, payroll checks 4105 through 4116, along with ACH payroll transfers as outlined in the agenda for a grand total of $1,885,097.43. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayden,
Yes.
Chairman Ency.
Yes. Local 3390, I haven't heard anything. Anybody out there in the online? Okay.
Yep.
Standing committee reports. The negotiations committee, as you can see by the agenda, we will be having a executive session in regards to negotiations. Any other standing committee reports?
There were
Any
no
other-
other committees. You skipped Chief's report. I know sometimes they're kind of
Oh, I'm
long and
sorry.
boring, but that's all right.
Beach reports.
Thank you.
You
Chief Oldenburg.
All right. Good evening, commissioners. I thought it was going to be really short, but I guess we came back here. So I've got a couple things to update the commissioners on this evening. First of all, on the personnel side, the emergency communications support technician, we call it the upfit position. We're doing our first interviews on August 24th. We're moving 4 people forward in that process. The next opening that we have currently is with our facilities person. We have 25 applicants currently, and our first review of that 25 will be on August 14th. So both of those are continuing forward in the process. Next thing I wanted to update you on is the bond sale timeline. So we are actively involved in that now. I've reported a couple of times, but we just successfully completed the initial draft of what's called the preliminary offering statement. It's a very large document that all of us have gone through. You can expect to see a bond resolution in front of this body on September 8th for your review. If you choose to move forward with that resolution, we will do our bond rating with the SEC the end of September. The sale of the bonds we'll do in the first part of October, and then we'll close on that bond sale in the end of October. So that's our projected timeline now. I don't see any reason why we won't meet those timeframes, but I'll keep the commission up to date on the status of that as we move forward. The last thing is the apparatus timeline. So we have gone back and done the final reviews on the Type 3s and the Type 1s. So we're expecting the Type 3s to arrive the end of September, still on schedule. And the Type 1s will probably be 2 to 3 weeks after that, which will be sometime around the middle of October. So we're super excited to get a number of those vehicles here, and we'll get them out. We already have a plan to put them on the road as quickly as possible. So we have a bunch of stuff pre-staged, but all of that is moving forward on schedule. So we're excited about that. And I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
And I may have missed it with all the information you're giving, but the 4 people moving on for the fit out position, what was the date of offer or kind of date of start for them?
So I don't know. So they're going to do their the round of interviews on August 24th.
Mhm.
And so I don't know that we have an actual projected start date. Janelle?
September timeframe is what we're looking at, probably
Okay.
end of September.
Depending on how that process goes, we would make a conditional offer. They may have to notify their employer, and there's some back and forth that takes place there.
Okay. I was just
Yeah.
curious because because they would probably be helping once we get
Yes.
okay. So the
Well,
goal
I
is to
would-
have them before that.
We're paddling as fast as we can underneath the water line.
Cool.
So yeah, we're trying to get somebody here as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Yep.
Chief Langlow?
All right, good evening. Just a couple updates from me. First on the deployment front, just to give everybody an idea where we're at there. Lieutenant Lawrence is a strike team leader. Dan Cox, Chelsea Staten, and George Wong are all on Brush 52. They are at the Old Trails Fire in Spokane. They've been there for almost 2 weeks. We just got word late this afternoon, probably about an hour before we came in here, that they're expecting to get demobilized tomorrow and start to travel home. I did tell the team that we'll call it a definite maybe till they actually set foot in Gig Harbor when they make it home, but we're expecting them to demobilize tomorrow and come home. They've almost been gone 2 weeks. Paramedic Dana Parolo is in at the Wright Springs Fire in Klamath Falls, Oregon, as a medical unit leader. And then Lieutenant Josh Bassinas is at the High Lava Fire, which is just northeast of Camas, Washington, a little outside of Vancouver. And he just got there last weekend. He's a heavy equipment boss. AA in the training division, we finished that process. And yesterday I offered the position to Alyssa Matilla, who is currently the administrative assistant in the logistics division. And so she will be moving from logistics to training. DC Corrigan and DC Peterson are working today. They started working today on a transition plan with Janelle. And so we don't have a start date quite yet, but we're looking sometime after the 1st of September, we'll make the transition. But there's some details we got to work out in that. So congratulations to Alyssa moving forward and taking that position in the training division. As we've talked about, I think at the board, we have had a couple of brush fires in the area of the Tacoma Narrows Airport in the last month, 6 weeks. And we met with a group of us, DC Westcott and myself and some folks from the fire department. We met with the Pierce County Fire Marshal, the ATF, Councilwoman Robin Denson, and Tacoma Narrows Airport. We met out last Friday at the site of our most recent brush fire, which was on the south end of the runway on the bank down to the water. And so that's been turned over to the Pierce County Fire Marshal's office for investigation to see if they can identify a cause on that fire. The fire we had, the first fire we had earlier in July, which was on Stone Drive and 26th Avenue, that's been referred to them as well. And then we had a fire geographically and date-wise in between those two fires. The fire that we had, that was actually on the airport property itself. That was caused by welding or grinding construction happening just adjacent to one of the hangars. So that cause is known, not suspicious at all, not related to the other two fires. And so wanted to update the board that the Pierce County Fire Marshal has both of those other fires. And I will certainly update if we get a final report from the Pierce County Fire Marshal on those. Crunch Time, our auto extrication symposium. This is the first time it's coming back since before COVID. So Crunch Time is going to be happening here on our training campus September 18 through 20. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've got spots for up to 92 students. And so we're super excited about that. Last I'd heard, we were about 75, 80% full. That was several weeks ago. And so we're expecting to get all the way full to 92 students, or right there in the neighborhood. Again, that'll be September 18 through 20. And anybody on the board is encouraged and welcome to come stop by and check it out. We'll have opportunities for viewing and walking you around to check it out. Again, first time back since before COVID. So super excited for that to come back. And then the last topic I wanted to mention, Commissioner Fleming, you had asked about the truck and the boat kind of opportunities in, over the last time frame on when we might have used a truck or a boat. So that I'm still working on that. Don't have a information for you to share tonight, but I'm still working on that, and we'll get that to the board as soon as I can.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's the end of my report.
Chief Westcott.
Good evening, commissioners. To build on the wildfire theme that Chief Langlow was talking about, Pierce County Fire Marshal is going to implement a Stage 2 burn ban on Monday, and this will bring us in line with our neighbors. Excuse me. On the fire, we did have 4 injuries related to poison oak, and so that's something we'll be working. Excuse me. Excuse me. Something we'll be working through to make sure our people are taken care of, and if we can find ways in the future to avoid injury. Excited to announce the Gig Harbor Firefighters Association has purchased 4 AEDs and cabinets, and we'll be placing those at Doris Heritage Park, Crescent Creek, Donkey Creek, and Scansey. So there'll be a photo op with the mayor tomorrow, or Thursday, excuse me, with President Apps. The fire program, which is the L&I Firefighter Injury and Reduction Program, we were awarded a $25,000 grant for injury prevention, and that we will be working with O2X to deliver injury prevention training to our members. And so excited to get that going. That program also benefits us because it provides a 10% discount on our L&I premium by participating in it and working to reduce injuries. The last thing is Explorer Labs. We talked about it last meeting. They did come up, and we met with the CJ, and a representative from Explorer Labs met with the school district superintendent, and they're going to work on bringing that program across the district into the junior highs. End of report.
All right. And, oh, did you have some questions?
I got one question. I meant to talk when Nick was talking. I've been watching the fires in Spokane mainly, because we got people deployed and I have relatives in Spokane. So I've been really watching them. One of the unique things I saw was must have been on one of the bus trucks, that they had a nozzle that's mounted right on the front bumper that can be used. Is that a standard item on a brush truck to have that nozzle there? Because that's a pretty unique device to be able to fight as long as you're driving along the road there.
Yeah, I would say that it's a pretty standardized option on those type of brush trucks, and our 2 Type 3 engines that are coming will have a bumper mounted turret on the front bumper. Yep.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. As you can see, Leslie's on vacation for 1 more week, and Janelle's stepping in. Thank you. This week, I'm meeting with Representative Richards here from District 26, one of our representatives. Just a standard. I try to meet with all of our senators and representatives a few times a year. So that's coming up this week. We had a film crew come in and evaluate our stations to possibly do a scene for a movie, and they picked Station 52. There's a scene with a firefighter doing a press conference, and then so they're going to start scheduling that this fall to come in and use our fire station. So I worked with the chamber, contacted me. It was actually last weekend, and then we did a site tour, and they chose Station 52. 5859 remodel versus rebuild. I've been working with Rice Fergus Miller to bring you that. I'm hoping to have it in 2 weeks. It might take me 4, but my hope is to bring you that with Rice Fergus Miller and myself, and probably JJ leading, just looking at the remodel versus rebuild on 5859. But I think I promised it this week, and I'm late. So I need one more one more meeting. August 31st through September 2nd, Gig Harbor PD is doing training down at our drill grounds. Not sure, they're doing some cop stuff and asked to use our facility. I told them, do not damage it. Or it will be your last training facility. I told you we offered Eric Tuat a job as Deputy Chief of Finance and Administration. So Janelle's working right now with him on the background and psych evaluation and drug testing and the contract, and then Chief Oldenburg will start working on transition. So he's excited to work through that. His first day probably official won't be until January. He to get his 25 years, I think, is like January 7th there in Alaska. So he needs to do that. I'll be attending South Sound 911 board meeting this week or next week. We're working a lot on budget and cost sharing right now in the PSCOC meeting that I went to this week. And last but not least, Leslie and I and Chairman Enzi are working on revamping the board meetings a little bit. Of course, we'll bring it to you before we do, trying to maybe change the agenda, maybe the process, maybe have a consent agenda, how we vote and things like that. We're running it through legal, looking at other best practices from other departments that are around us. So we'll of course bring those ideas to you, and we're working on that. That's all I have for Chief's update.
Thank you. Since I already did standing committee reports, go to finance reports. Crystal.
Good evening. Let me share my screen one moment. Little bit of a lag. One moment, please. Okay, this is the June 26th monthly financial report. A couple things I'll note that have changed since last month or last meeting, actually, when we went over the May period. For operating revenues, you'll notice we did have a significant contribution in June in our intergovernmental revenues. This is our annual true-up payment that we receive from the Washington Healthcare Authority for GEMT. So they do a true up of prior years in terms of the reimbursement collections, and then you'll get an annual payment. So it is a pretty substantial amount for that true up calculation that we just received this month. In terms of operating expenses, nothing new to highlight in terms of operating expenses for June. Let me scroll a little bit here. Okay, moving into the capital projects. For the capital bond program, you'll notice that we do still continue to have expenses for the training campus. This is expected to continue for a few more months. You'll notice we have a couple expenditures here, excuse me, for 53 and 57. This is for some additional work we're doing for the apparatus bay evaluation. And then you'll notice we have some expenses here for 58 and 59. Those are the early pre-design costs associated with those projects. So that will continue through the rest of this year. Moving into the capital fund that are non-bond projects, you'll notice we don't have a lot in terms of the facility side for the month of June. For fleet replacement, we do have some associated costs. Most of this is equipment associated with the Type 1 and Type 3 engines that are arriving. Moving into the ending cash for the end of June, we are at 68.7 million cumulative across our 4 funds. Any questions related to June? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Chairman's report, none. 2022 bond update.
All right, the training campus got its final occupancy and approval. So both, we had already had it for the sport building, but the training tower got that yesterday. They're still finalizing some punch list stuff and some change order stuff there, but we have full occupancy now. Station 51, if you haven't driven by, the north part of the station has been framed and sheeted. There are some large steel trusses that have been delivered and put together that are starting to be assembled and installed next week. So it's moving forward. And then the 58, 59 will bring you some plans and some recommendations in the next couple meetings. That's all we have for the bond.
Thank you. No old business. New business, fire inspector presentation.
All right, Jake's, I would introduce you to Jake. I'll let Tom do that here in a second. But when we talked a couple meetings ago, just about maybe sometimes the meetings being short, one of the things that we took back as a command staff is we'd like to just, when we don't have a lot on the agenda, give you some updates about things that are happening. So I asked each division to go back to their teams. What would you like to know? What would you like to teach? What would you like to tell? Or what would you like to inform our commissioners that they may not know about some of our business that we do? And Jake was the first person to raise his hand. So he's our, so Tom, I'm sorry to steal your thunder, but I'll let you introduce.
No,
Jake.
that's great. And I will let Jake introduce himself when he gets up here. But what I will say is when we went to replace old Jake, our previous inspector, and I had heard that Jake had shown some interest. It was universal that I heard how lucky I was as the division chief of prevention that somebody of his caliber would step up and consider taking on that position. And everything I heard from people on the line that had worked with Jake was 100% true. He brings a professionalism and a demeanor, and he has taken on the responsibility of the position flawlessly, and just he took the great work that Jake Coverdale was doing and he built on it and has taken it to new places. So he might downplay all that, but it's true. He's done a great job, and I'll let him come up here and tell you about the program.
This going. Thank you for having me out today. Yeah, I was happy to jump on the opportunity to present to you all and share a little bit about what my day-to-day looks like. And I'm only going to take up a couple minutes of you guys' time. That being said, you don't have to save, I hope you have some questions, but you don't have to save them till the end. If there's something that pops up, or if you need clarification or just curious, just shoot it out. And this can be interactive. It doesn't have to be just me up here talking at you guys for a couple of minutes, though I'm happy to do that. So I've been the fire inspector here for a couple months now. I started in January. Technically, I started in November of last year, and I had some time for other inspector Jake to train me up, and then I had to take a certification test to get my fire inspector 1, and I took that right at the end of the year. And so January 1, I was fully blessed and hit the ground running and started doing inspections. So I've been really enjoying it so far. My wife and kids really enjoy it so far, which is a huge win for me. So life has been pretty good since I've started this role. Happy to say that. So as a fire inspector, I basically work under the city fire marshal. There's a contract that we have with the city of Gig Harbor, and my job is essentially to uphold that contract. It's pretty simple. There's not a lot to it. It's essentially I will do all of the annual fire inspections within the city limits of Gig Harbor for all of the commercial occupancies. And that's kind of the gist of it, which is awesome. It gives me a lot of freedom on how I want to approach doing all the inspections, organizing, scheduling, just my route that I take throughout the city. It is a common point of confusion that I do all of the inspections in all of Gig Harbor. I don't. It's just the city limits. So it's just south of Olympic and Point Fosdick in that sort of Safeway area, and then it goes up north of like Oregon with Target, essentially, and it kind of hugs Highway 16 a little bit. Anyways, is my audio okay? Yeah. Oh, of course. Thank you. Okay, so in that contract, the city actually does pay us or reimburse us for the fire inspector role. They pay the contract was signed in 2020, and they pay us $150,000 a year, $150,000 a year plus 100% of CPI. So it's a pretty. It seems in my world, it seems pretty good that they pay us to do this service. And since I've started, I'm like, I will sell this fire inspector role. I love it. I think it's super valuable. I'll get into that later, but I think it's awesome that the city and our department came together, and I think it's like an opportunity for us. It's not a burden. I think it's a great opportunity that we have a fire inspector in the fire department. So we have 1,636 commercial occupancies that I have to check every year. It's quite a lot, just through what I hear from the grapevine of what normal fire inspectors do. Most fire inspectors will get out and do an annual, but it's usually like 1 to 4 years. They'll get to the same building, and most fire inspectors don't do 1,600. They do quite a bit less on average. So it's a decent workload, but it's super manageable, and with the right approach, I think it's totally doable. Jake Coverdale before me set me up for success, gave me some tips and tricks, and it's been going well so far. I had a little bit of a slow start to the year, just getting used to the position, but I'm totally on track to finish all the inspections by the end of the year. And let's see. So for a normal fire inspection, we don't have to schedule all of them, because scheduling 1,600 would be a complete nightmare. I have sort of a freedom to roam, essentially. So I can go into a business, knock on the door, greet them at the front desk. I just introduce myself with a big smile, and then I tell them that I'm here for their annual fire inspection. And sometimes that can get a little bit iffy with people. They don't like hearing that like they have an inspection, and that there's somebody with a badge and a uniform that's here to like walk through their business unscheduled. But I just try to kill them with kindness, big smile, and tell them what I'm going to do. I give them like, it's only going to take a couple minutes. Here are the big things that I'm looking for. I invite them to follow me, as long as it doesn't take them away from their day-to-day operations. And so far, it's been great. I mean, as you guys know, we live in a pretty nice community with really nice people. And so far, everyone has been very inviting with me. And so when I go through, I'm generally checking for fire code compliance. That actually changes with each building, because the fire code is set from when the building was first certified for occupancy. So a building from 1980s walkthrough looks a lot different from a building that just got popped up last year. Different fire code requirements, and as also there's different types of buildings, right? Like our school's fire walkthroughs look a lot different from a restaurant walkthrough. There's just different codes and different compliances that they have to make. It was a lot to take in at first, but once you get the flow of things and you start going through the businesses, it usually goes pretty smoothly. I'm looking for access, egress, that their fire protection systems are in place and serviced. Fire extinguishers is a big one. That's like the biggest fail point for the businesses is enough fire extinguishers, they're serviced, they're within their manufacture date, And then I'm also looking at like electrical panels, electrical in general, like space heaters are a big one. Storage, making sure that they're meeting their storage requirements per the occupancy. Yeah, there's a lot to it, but honestly, it's great. And it's a good learning curve. I like, like a new job, you jump into it, you learn, you get better. And so I've been really enjoying that so far. Like I said, with my approach, I just try to just be professional, keep the core values of our department in mind, kill them with kindness, be friendly, ask them about their business. If they have the bandwidth to have a conversation. Some inspections will take 45 minutes to an hour just because we're kind of walking and talking and getting to know each other, and we're asking about our upbringings. And then it seems like 30% or so will say, do you know the Langlow brothers? Because like they know everybody. So that's a common one. But it's great. It's a great way to interface with the community, get to know people, get to know the businesses, and just be a presence in the community. So on paper, I uphold the contract and I do fire inspections, but in reality, it's a lot more than just code compliance. Kind of talked about that a little bit with just interfacing with the community, but I also do updates on our First Due system. So like our company officers will go into First Due, which is a software that they can check the type of occupancy, the dates that it was like built. They can see fire hydrants, fire extinguishers, elevators, all that. When I walk through, I can go in through First Due and make sure that all that is up to date and relevant. I can also go and check the Knox boxes to make sure that all our Knox keys are up to date, because every time there's a new business, they need to get a new key. And quite often that gets missed or looked over. So I'll check to make sure that our Knox boxes are good. That way, when our companies come in after hours or anytime really, they can get into the Knox box. The keys can actually get them through the door. They can look on First Due. The information's there. It's relevant. They know where the fire alarm panel is. They know where the sprinkler room is. So it's more than, it actually directly helps our fire crews in that way as well. I hand out more stickers as a fire inspector than I ever did as a firefighter, just because I'm out walking around all the time. So I go through a lot more of those, which is great. It's kind of like a great way to kind of see your customer service is how many stickers you go through a month. It's a good little benchmark. And if I'm up to date and doing well on my inspections and making good progress, I open myself up to help out the department in other ways, especially my own division in prevention. CJ, our prevention educator, goes through all the schools. She does fire safety lessons, and so she'll ask me if I have the bandwidth to help out with some school lessons, which I've been doing. I'll bring my bunker gear and SCBA and try that on for the kids. I'll help teach fire safety. And then I do fall prevention as well. We go through some of the senior centers and teach fall safety classes for the residents there. And so, oh, and I also do smoke detectors. That's a big one. We get smoke detector calls a lot, which is great. We don't want people up on ladders that shouldn't be on ladders. I feel like every time I go and do a smoke detector for a normal ceiling, they go, wow, you don't need a ladder. You must this is so great, because I can just go up and don't need a ladder and just kind of fix their smoke detector without any assistance. That seems to be a great, super entertaining for the people. And then I also do monthly ride-alongs, which is awesome to stay connected to operations and just relevant, really. It's back when I was on shift, it kind of seemed like people kind of went to days and they kind of disappeared and you never really saw them again until they came back to ops. So I schedule a monthly ride along, which is great flexibility to kind of pick a crew. I can talk to them and I can say, this is the kind of stuff that I want to work on. Do you guys have the bandwidth? I can go to different crews and stations and shifts and see my coworkers in a way that I really wouldn't be able to before. Maybe you would see them in passing or on a debit day or trade, but it's nice to kind of stay relevant that way. Why is it valuable to have fire inspections? It's even just from like a financial standpoint, safer businesses that we can catch fire hazards and correct deficiencies, they're less likely to have a severe incident go on, which means their small businesses are going to be less likely to be financially impacted in the event of a fire. And Chief shared a stat with me earlier, and 40% of businesses that have severe fire damage, small businesses that have severe fire damage, never recover. And then of those that do recover, a quarter of those go out of business within a year. So if we can catch things and keep our community safe, our businesses are more likely to stay open. Open business means more just prosperity for the community, and it's more prosperity for all of us. So just from, even if you take out the customer service and just being a good like spokesperson for the fire department, it's extremely valuable in that way. Safety for civilians, safety for our crews, like I said, with first due and Knox boxes, and just being able to relay hazards or information. I've been invited I've shot out the invite, but also been invited to walk with our crews when they do their first due walkthroughs. They'll ask me to come and walk through with them, so I can go and do a walkthrough with our company officers and our crews, and give them my perspective of the fire inspection, since I'm certified. So yeah, it's great. In general, that's my job. I'm here to support the department, but support the community and support my coworkers. That's kind of all I got. I hope that you guys got something out of that. I know I'm like, this is the first time we're doing it, so I'm setting the bar.
Yeah.
I don't know where the bar is going to be set, but it's going to be set somewhere.
Well,
So
it's not, they're not going to be able to top that. Nobody's going to want to
No.
follow you. Thank you, Jake. You know,
Yeah.
I know board, you know, and, but at the highest level, for people that may be watching or watching this later, as a fire district, we don't have authority. So only cities and only counties have authority. So all fire marshal or all inspection or really any authority whatsoever comes from the county and the city. So when I arrived, so this is the city fire marshals are in the county fire marshal's responsibility. When I arrived, there had been some tension with Gig Harbor Fire and the city. John Burgess did a great job of reducing that, but it was my very first meeting. It was with the city's mayor to about this contract and the cost and Jake and everybody that's done this before has done such a good job. But the authority lies with the city if there is a problem. But Jake does it through kindness. And I don't think, at least the last report, there are very, very few out of 1,636 inspections, only a handful each year are even referred to the city.
Mhm.
Have you had to refer any?
That's a good question. I have not had to refer any to the city yet. I have had some that I call it like a go back. I go in and there is a non-compliance issue, but I correct them and then I work with them to correct it, and then I do like a go back later. So there's still some like pending that I haven't gotten to yet, but
Yeah.
that's so far.
He's getting compliance
Yeah.
by being a professional, not by taking a badge in is what, you know, and so we really appreciate that. And 1,636, you know, he told you he does everyone once a year. That's almost unheard of. At least in Boise, we barely got them to him every 5 years, if I remember right, Perry. Yeah, so very few departments hit every single occupancy 100% every year. That's a big deal. So I appreciate his work, and he does a good job representing us, representing the city, and we don't have to do referrals to the fire marshal because he gets compliance through kindness.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Jake, I
you.
got two questions.
Yes, sir.
If your position didn't exist, what would we miss the most?
It's a good question. My position didn't exist. I think we would miss the consistent positive presence in the community that the fire inspector should and will provide. Most of the time when our community sees the firefighters, it's because something went wrong. With this position, they see me or anybody else in this position on the inverse when things are normal. It's just normal day to day. I get to interface with the community. I get to talk to people, ask how they're doing, hand out stickers. I get to show them how our department upholds the values and normal day-to-day operations. In my opinion, I don't think that we get that sort of positive public publicity, positive publicity anywhere else. I don't think any position in our department has the sort of publicity that the fire inspector does, just because I tell my coworkers, I'm sure I told Chief, I don't like being up in the cubicles because I feel like if I'm up there, then I'm not out doing my job. So I try to stay out and about for the majority of the day. And if I'm out and about, then I'm being seen. And if I'm being seen, I'm doing what I want to do, which is a good job, then the public sees that. Just because I still drive a pickup truck that has a billboard on it for the fire department. I wear a uniform, and I just don't think that anywhere else in the district we kind of have that sort of publicity. So I think that would be the most missed part, is just that constant positive perception from the community.
You stated that most of your inspections are done by, just dropping in on the business. Do you ever,
Mhm.
or do you ever do a phone ahead to any business to
Yes.
make an appointment?
Yes. The bigger box stores and like the adult care homes and like the hospital, Heron's Key, those are, I can't really just sort of pop in unannounced to the hospital and just kind of walk my way around. I got to schedule those. And same thing with Heron's Key, that it'll take all day to go through that whole complex. So I'll have a facilities person that I schedule with, and then the facilities manager or staff will walk me through, because I would get lost very quickly. Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt that you're really a face of our department, being the job that you're doing. I mean,
Mhm.
you stated you're out there, you're interfacing with the people where most of us really don't get that opportunity. So from what it sounds like, the job that you're doing really brings our department face to face with the people, and you represent that. And it sounds like you are representing it well.
Thank you.
And I think we all appreciate what you're doing and how you present yourself out there.
Thank you. I'm happy to have the opportunity to be the fire inspector, and I'm super appreciative that the department leadership put the contract in and is allowing this to happen. And I hope that in the future, that we continue to do a good job and that this position continues to exist in the department. I think it's extremely valuable.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Not so much a question, just a comment. I mean, I remember there was a period, Chief kind of referenced it, where, we had this contract for years and years, and then I think the city thought about going in another direction, didn't renew the contract, thought that they could find a way to provide the service for, I think, lower cost than what we provide, and wound up just not doing it for a period. And I think we had some concerns about that, where the inspections just weren't happening.
Right.
And then we got the contract going again. And I think that it was really important to us on the board, and obviously going down to the crews, that we have people in these places in order to provide this service. I mean, it's not optional. Cities have to do it, and the city just kind of wasn't for a period doing that. And I think that created risk for the businesses, our crews. So I commend you for doing the job that you're doing, because I
Thanks.
think it's important work. So.
I'd like to say too, along that line, if the city were to come to a point that they might want to go in a different direction or something, I think your point about going with the crews and showing them what you already know is quite a invaluable thing. I don't think people really understand, because the crews are coming in, they don't have time to really know everything about the building. And I think for you to already have been there and been there more than once, and to really kind of just
help them along is really invaluable. I don't think businesses understand your knowledge base when you're helping the crews. So I think
Mhm.
that's a really big selling point.
Mhm.
So.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, just one comment I wanted to throw out there. I think Jake did a good job of hitting on it a little bit, but from my position as the operations chief, I just want to make sure to communicate how much we appreciate Jake in operations. He makes a huge difference in our ability to do our job better. And there's things like Commissioner Hayden had identified that our crews at this point don't have the bandwidth to do and invest in those properties like Jake does. And so it makes a huge difference on the operation side in any call that we run in any business that we go to, right? Jake talked about Knox boxes and just the ability after hours to have keys that have access to the buildings. So we don't have to be more destructive than we need to be, or it might get us into a building to identify an issue that we otherwise maybe normally wouldn't because there's no visible hazard from the outside, but we have a Knox key that's able to get us into the building. And so I wanted to just publicly thank Jake for the work that he's doing and the work that Jake Coverdale did before him and Paul Hayes, all of the long list of folks that we've had in that position who 100% make an impact in operations, even if it's not always as tangible, like on the daily. It's making a difference, a significant difference. So thanks to Jake and the team from the operations division. And then also, I think that the bar has been set at about 6'8" in boots. Just so I think that's where the bar is.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. This point where we go to open public comment. If you have anything you'd like to present before this board, please state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. If you're online, please wave your hand. Okay, thank you. Good of the order. Anybody have anything under good of the order? Special interest upcoming events. Okay, at this time, we will be going into executive session to discuss collective bargaining negotiations under the RCW 4230-140-4B. The executive session will start for 30 minutes. We will, regular meeting will be called back into session at 6:17. And any final action will be taken after executive session.
Commissioner Arvina, I sent you a link to a Teams meeting.
Okay.
We are reconvened for now. Board is now reconvened. Any other business to come before this board?